Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Well, I wasn't expecting to come down and find this morning. We've had a load of snow. We basically took a photo yesterday. I took a photo from sort of this angle showing the polytunnel and some of the raised beds. Well, the not raised beds, but you know, the veg garden beds, and it's you can't even see it now. So yeah, we've had a few inches of snow, and I'm not sure there's going to be a whole lot I can actually show now, which is a little bit frustrating. You can see the snow's piled up against the side of the polytunnel there. I'm going to try and do my best. So we finished the footpaths, which lead all the way along here to the doors of the polytunnel, and we finished stoning up around the back of the polytunnel, and we did a little work just around this tool store, put some it's like grasscrete matting that we filled with clean drainage stone to help it drain underneath. Just a few odd jobs. I had to replace a window on the well shed with a piece of perspex, because really frustratingly I had the chipper running, and it was when we cleared all this area of wood, if you remember, we had a big stack of wood here that we were splitting, and there was a few bits that I had to chip, and the spout of the chipper was pointing towards the well shed, but it was a good distance away, but it must have been a bit of a stone or something on the piece of wood, and it went through and smashed the window. Can you believe it? So had to replace that, put a piece of perspex in so that it doesn't happen again, and yeah, then we started, we leveled these beds then after that, got the sort of the subsoil that was from the drain horizons, if you remember. We spread those over this area, and then we topped it all up with soil, and it's a really thick depth. We basically have about 400 mil of topsoil over this whole area, so we can do potatoes and a lot of other growing. We then pegged it out yesterday, so the large gaps in between here are 750 mil, and then we were doing a 300 mil gap then as a walkway, and then another bed 750, 300, so that works out about 30-inch beds. And the reason we've done that is, I think for a lot of market gardens, that seems to be a bit of a standard. It's easy enough to work either side, or all from one side if you needed to. The narrow walkways just make it accessible. I think some people, we did debate doing a metre for a bed and a footpath, so that would be 750 mil and 250 mil path, but I'm quite big and I'm pretty clumsy, so we've opted for 750 and 300. The other reason we've done that is because that works out at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beds, and this is a 6 metre distance, so it works out sort of perfect for us. We're just over 6 metres, and we've gained 6 beds there at 750 mil, and then yeah, so the spacing in between I think is 300, if that calculates right. We did it yesterday, and the whole length, we actually haven't pegged it out all the way to the end, but the whole length of the bed is 21 meters. That's what we pegged out. We could have gone a little bit further on this end, but we've got to back some compost through this gate. We're getting a bulk load of compost delivered, about 7 ton, that we're going to tip on the end here, and that's going to go on these beds. We've run out of pegs, these sort of timber stakes, so that's as far as we got basically. We marked out either end, and we have put a couple of pegs in the middle here. So the way it's been broken down is we were 21 meters in length in total, and then we put a meter footpath right in the middle here. So that gives you 10 meters on this side and 10 meters on this side. So the beds in total will be 750 wide by 10 meters long, and we will have 12 of them. So that's how we've decided to divide it up. we had a bit of soil that we needed to finish trimming around the edge. That, you know, when I leveled it with a digger, I did it quite, not crude, but I did it by eye. So there's a few little hollows and things like that. So we did pull a string line through, which is now being buried in the snow. So yeah, I don't know if you can see that. It's a green string line, like a luminous yellow. It's just very bright. This end of the bed was really wet. There is a drain running under here, but all the water migrated down here and the drain isn't operating fully yet. And this is just sort of where it migrated to. But this end here is actually going to be probably for bushes. That's what we're thinking. We've ordered, I can't remember how many now, but around 20 fruit bushes. Some red currant, white currant. We've got black currant. We've also got a pomegranate, which is never fruited, but probably plant that down this way as well. And we've also ordered raspberry, some strawberries, which we're trying some varieties that might do well outside as permanent. We're also going to plant some as well and put some in a polytunnel. And then we've also got, I'm trying to think now, some blueberries. Don't know how well some of these are going to do in this climate, but we're going to try and keep this area basically behind me and along this length here for bushes, and probably build a permanent netting, you know, fruit cage over the top of them eventually. That's the plan. So it's looking like there's even more snow coming over the hill there, so I hope not. So this was a bit of a surprise. Obviously the fields are all completely white now, so luckily we made enough hay this year because we can keep the sheep with a bit of hay fed, and also the goats, which they don't generally like venturing out in the wet anyway, so they don't mind the snow as long as it's dry. They actually come out. I'll show you them now. They're actually out already. So these were the areas that we marked out. It's just really hard to see now that it's covered in snow. This whole area here where you see where we had the wood, if you can remember from the last video, there's basically one bed here, and then where you see the two pegs, those run across to the door, so that's where the footpath is marked out. And then on the other side of those pegs, in between us and the hedge, that's where the other bed is. So those areas will be perennial flowers and just cut flowers, things like that. And then this area will be herbs, possibly our garlic as well that we do outside. Thinking of doing some inside the polytunnel as well, because we get a lot of rain and I'm worried that garlic's not going to work very well. It might work better in the polytunnel. And then this area here, which is 12 beds at 10 meters long by 750 wide, or 30 inches by, what is 10 meters? I don't know how many meters, how many feet that is actually. Well, I think it was like 68 foot in total. So we're looking over 30 foot beds, basically 30 foot beds by 30 inches wide, something like that. I don't normally work in old school. I'm more of a millimeters man. So goats seem happy enough, to be honest with you. It's really bright, so if it looks like I'm squinting, it's because the snow is just so bright. It's incredible. This pile here, which is now covered in snow, that is our sort of muck pile that we muck the goats out of. And that's the other reason we sort of saved this end piece in front of this gate, is just for deliveries, compost, muck for now until we sort out some proper compost bays. Unsure what to do about the compost, because we're going to need a lot of compost, and we do produce a lot of manure and hay and possibly straw and things like that, which we're getting out of the stables. But it's quite a large quantity. It's a bit too much really to be putting into small bays and doing by hand. You know, last time I mucked out the goats, I just reached through the back of the stables with a bucket of the digger and just pulled it out. and then I just chucked it in a pile, and it takes half an hour instead of half a day to a day to muck out, because we do a deep bed system. So with the deep bed system, there's a lot of material there to muck out. So we need you know, a way of, with the tractor and loader making a compost heap, we may just have to go for mass, get an area that we can just tip it and go for mass, and then turn it over with the digger or with a tractor and forks or bucket over time. And it may take longer to compost, but you know, once we get into this routine of having 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we should be fine.